After a decade-long career in education, our next guest discovered the world of transportation and hasn't looked back, becoming a freight broker and founding her own company, True Logistics. Trudie Ives, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you took a leap. You were a teacher for almost a decade, and then you threw that away in the best way to follow your heart, your dream, a gut feeling you had. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was honestly definitely a surprise for me because I always thought that education was set in stone. I had amazing teachers when I was in high school, Mr. Hubbs, Miss Tobin, Mr. Marafini, I can still remember. And I wanted to emulate that. And I had wonderful experiences in the classroom, and I created bonds with my students, and it was absolutely amazing. But timing in life is everything. I always had transportation somewhere in my life, right? My uncle was a tractor trailer driver in Jamaica. And up here he owned a trucking company, a towing company. And I even met a lady who had her own international shipping business, which I was completely intrigued by, but I didn't think twice about it. It wasn't until my husband decided to start his own trucking business that I was like, oh, this is new.
And it was relatable.
Absolutely, definitely. And during spring break, he would say, hey, let's go on the road. So I would go on the road with him, and I learned how to load a vehicle onto a trailer, how to strap it down. And I loved it so much that I actually got my CDL, which is my commercial driver's license. So I can actually drive those tractor trailers if I wanted to. So it was definitely a wonderful experience, but I gravitated more towards the logistics side, which is behind the scenes. And that's how I started my business.
And I can't think of a more male-dominated industry than, freight brokering and truck driving and things of that nature, because you don't hear about women behind the wheel or even having anything to do with that industry. So tell me more about what exactly does a freight broker do?
Yeah, so a freight broker is essentially like the middleman, or in my case, the middlewoman. So we basically arrange transportation for shippers. So we just help them ship their goods from point A to point B. A lot of people don't think about it, but your groceries, right? Your clothes that you wear, those are being transported in vehicles and in tractor trailers. And in my case, we specialize in transporting autos.
Right, so only auto transport.
Correct.
What does your clientele look like? Is it high-end, or is it just anybody who might need a ride, they're moving, or something,
Yeah, there's definitely a range. So we work with dealers, we work with snowbirds, we work with people who are purchasing vehicles from the auto auctions. So it could be local, it could be throughout the United States. And a lot of our clients are local movers or people that are moving from one state to the next. And when you're moving, there's just so much going on that you don't want to be bothered with driving from state to state. And so we just pick their vehicles up and deliver it. So it's one less thing for them to worry about.
And I could just sit here and imagine all the potential challenges you faced in this male-dominated industry, starting a business, you had never started one before, being a teacher. What were the challenges that you had to sort of figure out?
Yeah, there were definitely some challenges I had to navigate. The first thing was letting my family know that I was leaving teaching to start a business. They were surprised, to say the least, so that was definitely a challenge. But also, tapping into an industry that I'm new, right? I went to school to be an educator, and now I'm doing something completely different. So I had to research. I try to reach out to people who are also brokers so I can learn. I even worked at a brokerage so I can just have a little bit of experience. And of course, we're in many hats, right? When you're an entrepreneur, you're balancing so many things, and so you're able to hire, employees that can take on some of those roles. So definitely challenges along the way.
What was that spark inside of you that, you have this career, I'm going to leave it behind? You probably already knew your family was going to take issue with it because they're looking out for you.
Of course.
What was that inspiration, that energy that kept you going?
It was completely new for me, right? I've always done things calculated. I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to be an educator. So this was a huge risk, but I just had that feeling inside, that intuition that was like, do this, try it, go out on a leap. And I followed it because I've noticed in life that when I follow that little voice in my head, I usually can't go wrong. So
and if you don't follow it, then maybe not so good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely some issues along the way.
And what was one of the things that I think someone going into something new, what happens is you learn a lot about yourself. So tell me about that. What did you learn potentially about yourself that you didn't know before? Good, bad, great?
Yeah, so I definitely struggled with imposter syndrome for a while because, I've had situations where I'm dealing with a carrier or a shipper and they're like, well, I want to speak to the boss. And I'm like, but I am the boss, and they assume that it's a male, or in situations where you have to have your numbers in order because at the end of the day, this is a cyclical business, right?
Correct.
So definitely a lot of learning experiences for me.
Well, who's your biggest cheerleader? Right? Everyone needs one.
Yes, without a doubt, that's my husband.
Aww.
From the day I told him I was like, I really like this broker thing. I love working with people. I have a passion for helping people. I was like, I want to start this business. And he just said, go for it. Like there
Let me know in the comments, who is your biggest cheerleader?
was just no doubt in his mind that I couldn't accomplish whatever it was that I set my mind to. So my husband Richard is the best.
That must mean a lot to you. It says a lot about him too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm definitely very grateful and very blessed to have him by my side. He is literally my partner, my rock, if you will.
That.
Yeah.
I love that. And you were giving me some insider information that we won't detail.
Yeah.
However, you bring a little something to the industry that other people don't.
Yes, there is unfortunately a culture, a little bit of negativity with the culture of brokers. There's a little bit of predatory practices, and I definitely didn't want that in my business. My business is true logistics for a reason, right? It's trust, reliability, and understanding, and I'm passionate about helping people. And to be honest, a lot of my customers are referrals, right? It's you ship my neighbor's car for me. My daughter's going back to college and she needs her vehicle shipped. Can you help? And once my customers say, "Can you help?" and they know that we can do that for them, it just builds from there. So.
I love it. And another reason why we loved you for our segment today, based on Women's History Month, is that you're an advocate and on the board as advocacy chair for the National Association of Women's Business Owners. So bravo to you for putting in that time. Tell us about that and how they've also helped you in your business. And what's your role and your mission?
Of course. So NABO, like you said, is the National Association of Women Business Owners. They've been around since 1975, and their mission is to basically empower women business owners, whether that's economically, socially, or politically. And they are 60 chapters strong. I'm a part of the South Florida chapter. We encompass Miami-Dade, West Palm Beach, Broward County, and that's an extended support system, right? Because you have other business owners that understand the challenges that you go through, and we're there to help each other and build each other up. And I am the advocacy chair, and as such, I listen to the concerns that our local members have, and I take that back to the national level, and they try to make changes with legislation and help out women business owners.
How does NABO support local businesses here, the chapter that you're a part of? You mentioned that they do take it back to their corporate office. So tell us a little bit more about that and workshops, events, things of that nature.
Yeah, actually, our main events is our monthly dinner meetings, which is always an educational topic that's relatable to women business owners. That happens the second Thursday of every month. We also have virtual meetings for those that can't make it out, and there's networking events as well, as far as little coffee meetups. So whatever we need, whatever our members need, we're there to support, because we have women business owners that have been in business for a year, 2 years, to 20 plus years. So that experience is there, and they're able to offer insight for all of the members.
What's your advice to women that want to succeed in their business, that have these high hopes, and sometimes it doesn't always work out? But what would be your advice?
Can I say two things?
You can say everything.
I would definitely say align yourself with like-minded individuals, because that's really important. And of course, define success on your own terms, right? Because it could be making 6 figures, making 7 figures. It could be just having a work-life balance, right? So define what success looks like to you, and then if you have a little voice in your head saying go for it, then go for it. You can't go wrong.
Trudie Ives, so much insight and inspiration too, and you're also helping other women out there. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
This video raises questions, and I need for you to be extremely honest in the comments when answering them. And just so you know, I have 3 questions. Number 1, Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? Number 2, are you interested in being a freight broker? And number 3, could you see yourself working with a friend or a family member? Now, please be honest when answering these questions in the comments. Share this video with anyone you deem necessary, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.